So the rest are my colleagues from KAS. Ole is my rep, and then Robert is my buddy here. We kind of decided that I do most of the talking, but here it's also going to be asking questions directly to him. But anyway, I mean, I call this the conquering your business challenges with IBM Storage product, right? The reason I do this is because storage is the biggest asset that any company has. Let's face it, right? Your data is lost, your business is messed up. So that is the key to the discussion here. That's why I focus on storage. Now, having only have half an hour, I decided that I would, and you'll see this in the slides, that I kind of focused on one aspect that's really bothering a lot of companies. Okay, so that's man. Yeah, I mean, Robert, if you want to say anything, I mean, we're gonna be doing this in stereo, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so if you look at this thing, 90% of the organization are really looking back to their storage platform. It's because there's a challenge, right? Digital transformation. So if you look at all these three, I kind of summarize the infrastructure app modernization. We get so many apps now that requires different types of infrastructure in storage, being kind of videos, images, things like that people get used to, right? So that involves different kinds of storage, not the typical traditional storage. The other one is unstructured data, AI analytics. We hear this all the time, right? We're doing something with AI, we're doing some things in analytics. How do you store this unstructured data? So again, non-traditional. The last one is security, resilience, and governance. Now that is key. That's what I'll focus on, because that one is the biggest dilemma that or I guess issues that the customers are facing, right? So I'm gonna go briefly on this thing, what we're doing, and I encourage the two of you to call us because there's more discussion that we can cover here, right? So one of them is app modernization. I already mentioned that. We put automation in them. We also do consistent data services on-prem and cloud, right? Analytics, AI is a big thing. Company does that now. But the single source of truth, meaning one source for all of the data, the efficiency, and of course, it has to be real time because you're doing analytics, real time. And the last thing that I will emphasize in this discussion is security, resilience, and governance. You need to know immediately that detect before disruption happens. That's key, right? The second thing is you should be able to quickly recover, because what's the sense of doing all of this thing if you cannot recover quickly, right? And of course, the security, consistency across all the layers, like from edge, the premises, from edge to cloud. Those are the three kind of sections where storage goes now. Now, let me go quickly on this thing. There's some animation, but I'm just gonna show you everything, right? So 83% of the organization get hit by a data breach. That's a known fact. People don't want to talk about it because it's kind of embarrassing for a company to have that. It's interesting. We were doing what we call the tech exchange in Las Vegas, and lo and behold, MGM, where we were doing it, got hit by a ransomware. Caesar's Palace was another one, almost in the same instance. So it's hitting everyone, right? Now, 50% of this thing, breach costs are incurred more than than a year after the breach, right? The cost just carries on. 60% of the organizations raise their product services or whatever the cost they have because they have to recover what money they lost on the ransomware. All in all, the impact is like 5.2 million annual. Not really a huge number, but think about that, like millions, right?
It's a low number now.
That's
It's very low at this point in time. That was, it's, I think we're closer to more like 50 million is what we're doing. I mean, just taking a look at the MGM. I mean, everybody got called, all their vendors, and the impacts on that. So This is a number of what is actually reported. 90%, we're talking about 83% of the organizations who hit, 90% of the organizations actually don't report it. So this is why this number is so important, because people see the 5 million, they go, oh, we think it's higher. And we go, if you think it's higher, just imagine the 90% who don't report it. So it's higher for the 10% that is actually talking about it. But there's still 90% out there who don't want anyone to know that it's hit. They're worried about their investors. They're worried about Wall Street. They're worried about stock. What's going to happen when it gets out? Hey, I lost it. Plus all the other things that come with it, right? Did I lose customer information? Did I lose passwords? Did I lose logins? There's a lot of pieces that are tied with this. And this is why IBM strategy, from our storage all the way to our endpoints, with QRadar, we have a complete solution to help mitigate some of these ransomware attacks that companies face.
But it also impacts your business partners as well, and that those numbers are not taken into account there, because you could be affecting their income just as well.
This is what's been published, but there's more behind. The other thing interesting about this is the industry average now is 23 days before you recover. 23 days is almost like a month. You think about even your finances, right? Personal finances. If you miss on your payments to your creditors in 20 days, you get big warning, right? 23 days is huge. So you got to think about that. And of course, the average ransomware paid 2021. Look at that, right? We're now 2023, 812,000. It's really more than that. But this portrays the biggest issue. That's why I want to concentrate on this issue, discuss with any customer, right? Those people that didn't show up here, they're missing. You'll be the only companies that will be protected. I'm sorry to say that, right? So anyway, now I'm going to show this all again. Like cybersecurity, people think, oh, I have this SIEM, QRadar, Splunk, whatever it is, right? So I'm okay. The other people will say, I got data protection. Oh, DR, and so on and so forth. So I'm okay. That's not really the whole thing. You need to have cyber resiliency, meaning you have to have immutable data copies. You have to be scanning on malware and so on. And then, of course, the recovery part. That's the whole, if you call it resilient, your business, that's the whole thing that you should be covering. Okay, so we have this, what we call what's it doing? So we have this thing, and I'm going to go back to this again, what we call CRAT. We do these services for customers for free. It's a easy kind of a checklist. We produce reports showing your blind spots. So, like I said, I'll discuss this later on.
And it's vendor agnostic, right? So you don't have to be an IBM customer to take advantage of the CRAT, right? It is for anybody taking a look, anybody who should be taking a look. It's for everybody. And it's something that IBM is offering up free. It doesn't matter if you have HP, Pure, IBM, it's irrelevant. Whatever your SIM product that you may be using, whatever your endpoint, this is a chance for us to bridge the gaps between the storage organization as well as the security organization. Because a lot of times they don't talk. Right? Storage works in a vacuum, security works in a vacuum. The problem is it's one whole piece of a giant puzzle that they all need to collaborate together. This CRAT tool is a great way to start that discussion. We need 45 minutes of your time. There's questions that we answer together, and at the end of it produces a nice pretty little pie chart diagram and everything that upper management and everybody likes to see, and it starts showing you where your potential pinhole, your points of interest that you should probably be looking at, and where some of your open areas of concern should be. It's a great way to start. So if you don't know where to start, the CRAT's a great way because it can point you in a direction and show you really if you are as secure as you think or where are your gaps.
So I actually had a bank back in the Midwest doing a CRAT. They did the IBM CRAT, and that was, they consider themselves to be way above average. And they actually came out with a pretty good score, but it came out with a couple of glaring holes, and they were so grateful that they had found that had worn out that.
Well, it's a very expensive thing to do that we offer for free. because we believe the importance is that high.
So this is what's happening right now, right? I mean, I showed you 23 days, 23 days to recover. So malware hits or ransomware hits, you detect it, and maybe in 10 hours, maybe 2 days, major breach. Then you respond to the cyber attack, and then you recover from cyber attack. Before you know it, those are 23 days right there. So that's what's happening right now. Now, I want to show you this too quickly. Data protection, immutability, isolation. It depends really on what the data is. That's what this curve, shows. RPO, RTO. So now here's where we kind of starting to build solutions for customers. If you look at all of these steps, these are all the phases of cyber resiliency, right? Up to phase 5. You need to be able to secure, using the immutability, discover, and then recover, and then finally automate this, right? So if you put behind that, those are the functions on the phases. All of those functions we have on our, what we call Source Defender. That's what we are getting into. We incorporated all these steps, and we call it Source Defender. It's a software. By the way, it's also it's not exclusive IBM. If you have other products or any storage, this will also work, right? So that's what I say behind the scenes, right? We partner with all these vendors. They love to partner with us because they know that we have the solution. So we partner with all of this. You don't have to get all of this. If you have some of that, that becomes part of the solution. It's the point right here, right?
And these aren't the end all be all. There are additional up here. I don't know if you guys, our friends Veeam that are right across the way, they also fall in this. We use them as well as in our infrastructure. So we can work with a lot of different partners. The cyber resiliency, think of it as the IBM blueprint, and all these foundation blocks underneath is what delivers on the blueprint.
Remember the steps, the phases, right? Each one of the steps are covered by all these products. So we're not doing this exclusively ours. Why reinvent the wheel, right? Use what's out there. And those partners, all these companies wants to partner with IBM, the big blue. That's where we come in, right? Now, I also want to point out there's two kinds of data. There's primary and secondary. Primary is what makes your business run, right? The basics, the most important part. There's also secondary. Secondary, long-term kind of you can retain this, you can do this in days. So our solution will take care of this quickly. By the way, we put 60 seconds recovery now, guaranteed on a volume. Nobody else can do that, right? We put 60 seconds. What's the sense of, getting hit and not recover, right? We're putting that. And the secondary, of course, will be done in days or maybe hours, depending, right? So those are the two items. Unique end-to-end, IBM does that. Now, here's what happens, right? We put all this in place. Watch this. We got hit. We discover faster. We respond faster. Notice the hours, still within a day, right? Recover faster. We do the primary, like I said, quickly, within hours, and then secondary, maybe within days, maybe hours also, depending on how much data you have. So the best of the rest of primary and secondary. That's important to know because, to make your business run quickly, I don't care if you get hit by ransomware because you're already protected at this point. The secondary, we also take care of that because the secondary could be primary later on. You don't want to be hit again because you didn't take care of the secondary. So accelerated discovery, secure copies, and then, of course, automation. We took care of all of that in the Defender solution. So, like I said, minimum viable company in hours, full company in days. So we don't just do short term, we also do all the data here. I start with what I said earlier, right? Data is the most important asset of any company. You got to take care of that. Now, here's what it looks. Now, I'm not going to go over it, but it's a single dashboard seeing all of the aspects of, managing it. Now, I go back to what I started, right? There's other products we have. We call the one that I talk about with the Source Defender and IBM, in IBM primary block storage. The other ones are, data and AI, web scale and stuff. This is a different discussion. I encourage you, to talk to us because we will go visit you and we'll discuss the rest. Hybrid cloud in OpenShift, containerized. We can also discuss that. Like I said, if you let me speak for an hour, I can talk about an hour, but they only give me half an hour, right? So now this is a crowded chart, but it shows, source defined storage, software defined storage is what IBM does, right? We put the software on the hardware, the infrastructure, right? So if you look at all of this, like I said, there's three pillars here, right? In each one is the product. Another way of looking at it, there's so many wordings on this thing. And so, this explains it. And then, of course, the platform is the cloud. We go into all these products that we have underneath to cover all the aspects of data, right? Oh, no, not, this is the hardware part, right? This is primarily a big deal that we talk to customers a lot, we take care of everything, from the switches out to the storage devices. We also have mainframe. If you have mainframe or Power I, you can also do that to scale under the file object, and then of course the hyper-converged solution that we have. I just want to do this quickly because this shows you what we do, and you have the primary from different sources data. You have secure immutable copy. You secure those. You can keep scanning those copies so that you can see, where the good copy is. And then, there's a air gap. If you want to do a backup, tape or so on, you can also do that. Then it goes back, and then it does the identify, recover. That's the scanning process. It's all automated, right? And then you have the clean room. Clean room is really getting the clean copy, so you can recover from that. And then, you can do both, to the recovery part, and then go back to restore. All the steps, as complex as it looks, 60 seconds guaranteed for the volume, right? Of course, there's some process we have to do, right? But if we can put this in writing and we can tell customers that we can do that, why did you talk to us, right? I mean, we have the solution right there. Like I said, the rest of the companies didn't show up here. I'm sorry for that, right? That's my only message, right? But, you'll take care of the customers. We will go get them, right? So end-to-end data resilience is my point here. Understand blind spots. We talk about that. Defend your data and protect your business, the Defender solution. And this is one page of a CRAT. Like, I'm not going to go over anything, but basically you get the deliverables. Agnostic, like Robert said, doesn't matter if you're not IBM. We don't even talk about IBM products here. We talk about what exposure you have. So, this is free. One customer I spoke to said to me, can we pay for that? I said, how much will you pay? We'll give you $10,000. That's a good assessment. And I said, you can keep your $10,000 and pay buy one of the products we have, right? So, this is big. Based on NIST, you keep hearing about this. That's the standard, right? Now, I want to talk briefly, and we'll be done soon here. So one of the products we have is a 5200 plus systems, right? If you look at this thing, it's one rack unit, like a pizza box. In that one, you can, do all of this hardware compression, encryption, things like that. And because we invented what we call the PlusCore module, which is unique to IBM, that has intelligence under this device, that thing, will make 38 terabyte for one of them. You can fill one of this almost like a petabyte.
1.6.
Yeah,
1.6 petabytes.
There you go. You see, you got the accurate number right there. So, I mean, this
And
thing alone.
Let me add to it too. Since we're on the Flash Core Modules 3, FCM3s, they're FIPS compliant as well. Since the Flash Core modules have been in, marketing loves to tout it, so I'll give them their props. We haven't had a single drive come back in the field. All right, so there are companies, other manufacturers out there who are trying to let them use our drives. The FCMs are just for IBM. Two things it does. It alleviates a lot of manufacturing cost delays, so we don't have the same shipping delays. So when people are getting shipping timelines of 3 to 6 months, we're doing it in 2 weeks, right? Because we manufacture it, we have it. Two, we also get to keep quality control, so we can continue to guarantee that they're not going to come back in the field. So when you buy this thing, you understand that if it's 3 or 5 years, it's going to still be up and running. But the intelligence in it with the variable volt, we get to extend out the drives, so it's not just shoving voltage to it when it's not being used, so it adjusts. The fact that the compression, it's got hardware compression built in, means I can set up volumes on my array that doesn't have any compression or dedupe set in, and not have to tax my server, but still get some of the data reduction from it. So I get the advantage of being able to do data reduction in 2 locations in this single U, as well as I have the ability to scale up and scale out. So I can add performance, or I could add storage. I can add 1 drive at a time. There's no requirement. So if I only put 6 in here and populate, I got 6 additional spaces to go. I can add just 1 drive. That's all it needs. So for a lot of customers, 1.6 petabytes in a small footprint like this also saves on power and cooling. Yeah, you're using a lot less power, you're using a lot less cooling. But I mean, do you guys have the 1.6 petabyte need today? Say yes. Yeah, right. But most people, a lot of customers don't. So what? They built half of this. You know what that means? Their expansion and what they can plan for in the future is adding 1 or 2 drives, maybe next year to follow on. It's not buy a whole nother unit. All right. And then I can cluster them and everything else for expansion, or I can add additional shelves. So this is the Swiss Army knife of storage arrays. It can do everything, and it's rock solid. Sorry.
Well, it got compression and encryption built into, That's you don't pay extra for that when you buy the Plus Core module, right? The other thing that we do is the software that runs this source virtualized has been around for like 20 years plus. It's not in the 9th generation. What it does is also there's inline corruption, data corruption, that it built into the software. Not only that, the Plus Core module will also have inline corruption detection. So it's multi-layer protection, right? So, I mean, it's rock solid. We do a lot of these things. Those ones are just the kind of the what is in it, I put this eye chart again because that's where it shows, right? I highlighted the
There's something to point out on this, right? If you're familiar with a lot of other vendors and everything else, one of the big differentiators from us is all the way from the 5015 to the 9500, they run the same code. It's the same operating system. So the ability to expand, migrate up is a lot easier on our Flash series because you're not having to learn a new operating system. In addition, from the 5045s and 9500, we have the ability to virtualize other storage behind us. So if you're talking about how I'm going to do this migration, we can actually, over 500 different arrays, we can virtualize behind our system, stand it up, and then basically do a volume copy and start your migration, especially if you're not using VMware. So these are some of the things that can also alleviate professional services costs down the road. If you're getting ready to run out of warranty and maintenance on your other system, but you haven't quite migrated off, just virtualize it behind the IBM and let's move on.
A lot of, for a small device like this, and I'm not going to go over that one, but, you look at all the functions that it can do. It's fully featured for, kind of, I would say, entry-level storage up to the high-end 9500. it does all of these things, safeguard copy, like I said, this is a whole day, maybe another hour discussion just going over this one. So when you get into this thing, you're actually getting fully featured enterprise class storage.
Go back one slide. From the security standpoint, this line right here, safeguard copy, everyone's dealing with their insurance companies, right? This is safeguard copy, cyber resiliency, starts on the 5045 and up, right? This is that immutable copy. It's the area undescribable. This could also check with your insurance company, can also get you an additional discount because you're now starting to have preventative measures in your storage for ransomware attack. The nice piece about this, if you know anything about IBM, everyone's like, oh, you charge for everything. No, this is table stakes for us. This comes with the 5045 and up. So it comes with the storage array. So now this is why we want that conversation to happen between storage and security, because now storage can go to security and go, hey, look what we're doing. Are we following what you guys want? When you tie this with the whole blueprint and you talk about QRadar and your SIMs, they can talk to the array. So as an attack is happening, so you set this up on SLAs. Right? You specify what you want, how you want to be protected and covered. But when you tie it with your SIMs and QRadar and some of the other products, it starts detecting that there's an attack going on right now. And your current SLA doesn't say, hey, it's time to take a snapshot. It will tell the array, hey, I see a penetration that's starting to happen. I see something going on. Give me a safeguarded copy right now. So now I know I have a good, clean copy before the intruders have gotten through. So even if the intruders do get through, I can roll back, recover, like he said, in 60 seconds, and kick them right back out. Right? So everything can tie together. It's just a building block, right? But again, it's a feature like the crap that we are giving to you for free.
Any questions? We're right on time, right?
HCI.
HCI.
You do it like in 90 seconds HCI, what your solution is? Is that
No.
done using Red Hat or is it done?
Well, HCI is a complete different ball game, right? It's a hyperconverged. It's within. It's a containerized. It uses Red Hat OpenShift, right? So recovery time of that one, I mean, there's really more to it than because there's also compute in that one, right? That's why it's hyperconverged, right? So being hyperconverged, it has different aspects of how you recover. You depend on the compute time. You depend on all the. But it's quick.
But is it done on IBM hardware?
Yeah.
On IBM servers?
So your question is more of, tell me about HCI, not HCI in terms of this, right? So yeah, it is done, it's built on in an IBM box with some partners built on the Red Hat OpenShift and has aspects of the Defender and Fusion blend together for our HCI.
And obviously you can use the same Flashpool modules and everything in that.
Yeah.
So except for you get it in the HCI.
We're having the keynote
We have to.
talk out in the main hall right now. We're a few minutes late for it.
Okay, we're done.